All right, welcome to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, and today's special guest is Andrew Smith. Andrew, how's it going?
It's going so good. Thanks for
You
having
came
me.
up to me, yeah, of course. The first time I met you was, I think it was at the Dallas Marathon. I was volunteering, and of course, I didn't know who you were, but you came up to me and was like, Chris, I listened to your podcast. And I was like, this is great. So I love it. And then you were telling me a little bit about your story around, I'm going to run Houston Marathon. I'm going to PR. I'm going to do hit under this time. And then I'm trying to go to Boston, and you're so excited about it. And you accomplished what you wanted. And today we're going to talk a little bit about your story, Andrew, and a little bit about how you got into running. But then I want to get into your most recent accomplishment and how you actually qualified for the Boston Marathon for 2027. How does that sound?
Sounds great. Story I like to
Great.
tell.
Yeah, I can tell, and I know you're excited, and I'm
Yeah.
excited to listen because I don't know your story, just slightly of what you told me. And let's get into it. How did you do sports at all in high school, college, anything like that?
Yeah, I played basketball in high school. So I was on a state championship winning team. That did
Oh,
not mean
dang.
I played much. I count all 1 minute and 39 seconds I played in that state championship game, but that was the only game we were winning by 20 and I got to play in. So it
Oh,
wasn't,
so you won.
we won. And then I retired. I
Well,
was on top. And that was my junior year.
perfect.
And senior year, I went and played lacrosse. I was captain of the
Oh, nice.
lacrosse team in South Louisiana. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana, part of Cajun country, and we had the Lafayette Lions lacrosse team. And I made the Louisiana All-Star team. So I was
Okay.
center midi. If you know anything about lacrosse, I had never
Nothing.
learned anything, but we made it up as we went. And there's a lot of running, so I had a base of running
Mm.
and athleticism, basketball, but actually I love bowling as well. So I played a lot of bowling
Did you ever get a
through
300
throughout
or
my childhood. So
did you ever get a 300?
200 really was
Oh,
good.
okay.
I made the second team all district in bowling
Okay.
in my senior year, and that meant I was basically the top 10 of averages in bowling. So super random, but no, then I think in my high school years it was intense training through basketball. That's where I
Mm.
first felt like I learned endurance, but there's no running other than just conditioning. It was just,
Basketball's kind of sprinting back and forth and potentially hurting your ankles and knees and things.
yeah, we just did a ton of suicides, ton of sprints.
Yeah,
So I was just
exactly.
used to that. And I remember getting to a point where I'm so exhausted and I love it. So there was always this I like running thing,
Yeah.
but I never really ran. I did do track in 8th grade, but I hated it actually. I was so anxious before the first race. I didn't know how a track worked. I actually peed at the starting line out of anxiety, looking
In your
down at the
pants?
fall line. Just look down and I'm like dripping and I'm like, this is terrible. I hate this feeling. So I never raced ever again
That's
until
an
I was
interesting
30
story.
until I was 32 years old,
Okay,
which we can get to that story. But yeah,
we will.
college, I went to Baylor. I started dating my now wife in high school, senior year of high school.
Wow.
And then we dated 4 years long distance. I went to Baylor. She went to Mississippi College. And
Mississippi.
then we got married, dated 4 years long distance, got married, and moved to Dallas. If you want to touch on my career, it was Enterprise Rent-A-Car was my first job. And I've just been in
Nice.
sales and relationships jobs my whole career.
Is that what you do now, sales or?
Yeah, so after the enterprise days, I sold basically air ticket travel, group airfare. How do you get 50 people to Haiti? Did that
Well,
through the pandemic. And then I transitioned into traditional residential real estate, did
okay.
that on a great team here in Richardson. And then I got called in to work for a buddy's high-end luxury custom home building company,
Nice.
selling like a $4 to $7 million house. That was interesting. And then that
Gotta be good money.
it was good, yeah, it actually
Yeah.
was.
If you
But
sold a
it
$4 million house, I'm
yeah,
sure
no,
there's
I
some,
did, I sold one, so that was cool, but it's a process, and
yeah.
the communication with the boss and all the heartache, there was a lot of communication problems, but so I got laid off the summer of 2024, and, yeah, then it
Trust
was
me, I've
looking
been
for
through
the
it
next
twice
job.
these last couple of years.
Yeah,
Being laid off sucks. You figured out, I
yeah.
assume you figured it out and
Yeah, it
just
led me to where I
continue
am
to.
today, which is a CPA firm. We do
Okay.
bookkeeping, we do taxes, and this fancy thing called fractional CFO consulting. So it helps business owners make smarter, data-driven decisions. But I'm
Well,
business development.
Yeah, there's a lot of those fractional CMOs, CFOs, et cetera. That's the thing the last couple of years. Anyways, we're not here to talk about that per se, but let's talk a little bit. When did you start running? What was the kind of, you get out of college, you marry your wife from high school, so that's cool. Did you run it all like in college, or did you ever?
No, I played intramurals. That was
Okay.
about it. Normal stuff. And then with Enterprise, the first job, for 2 years, I did not work out. I only
Oh, okay.
worked.
It didn't
I
work at all.
actually counted. I worked out 6 times in 2 years.
Okay.
I just know that. Transitions in that.
That's strange to know that you
Yeah,
worked out
it
exactly
was,
6 times in 2 years.
but I was on my feet all day. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
that counts. That's
Yeah. I
different.
think so.
It certainly kept me in shape. I never was ballooning in weight right then. But basically, from after that, I was like, I want to grow my family and I want a job that would support that. And I want to go to do midweek, mid morning stuff at church and just different things to have a better lifestyle. And
Yeah.
that led me to the sort of family friendly company I was working with in the travel agency for churches and ministries. But basically, from there, I started doing CrossFit. I went deep into the CrossFit
Mm,
world knowing I just need somebody and I need a
something.
people to
Yeah.
show up for. And I don't want to have to think about it. So
Yeah.
I started doing
A lot of
CrossFit
people
for
do that.
yeah, I did CrossFit for 8 years. But when the
Okay.
COVID hit, that travel agency laid off half of my friends, half of our
Mm.
staff was laid off, and budget decisions had to be made. So I took out CrossFit. So that's
CrossFit's expensive.
generally, yeah, generally during COVID's when I first started just running, but there was no racing, there was nothing. I just started running. But I started feeling some leg pains there and I didn't take it too seriously. So when did I actually start running? I actually
CrossFit.
say this story, it really, my marathon journey actually started winning a hot dog eating contest. So
You won one?
July 4th,
Mhm.
2022, I won the neighborhood hot dog eating contest. A lot of people
Okay.
ask, how many hot dogs? It's not the point. We had a
Not that
competition. The
many.
rules were changing. It was 5 is the
Okay.
answer, but it became a sprint to who can eat 5 first. But
Was
what
it
that
like within a 90-second period, or what was
it was
the?
like a 3.5 minute period.
Okay.
They set it up as 5 minutes, then they shortened it to 4 minutes. Anyway,
Okay. Three
I
minutes
looked
is pretty
Joey
impressive.
Chestnut that day winning the competition. I remember
Yeah.
reading the rules and seeing you can't dip the hot dog buns in the water cups for more than 3 seconds. So I was like, strategy as
Yeah.
soaked water as you can is gonna win. And so we actually didn't have cups; we had water bottles. So my first move was just dump the water bottles all over the dogs, get them super
Okay.
soggy, and I double barrel shotgun 2 of them. And the other people in the competition, when there were only 4 of us, they
Yeah.
just like, okay, this guy's crazy. I'm gonna put ketchup on my dog and just
Competitive.
watch this guy. So
I'll put some mustard on mine and just eat one or two.
now, what the hot dog eating contest won me was a month of free ice cream.
Oh,
So,
God.
and it wasn't just any ice cream, it's the best ice cream in DFW. It's tongue in cheek ice cream. So, tongue in
Huh.
cheek has 3 locations: Richardson, East Plano, Louisville. They're awesome.
What is
And
this? A commercial for tongue in cheek? Come on.
I am every single day I wake up and I send out tongue in cheek's name of the day. A lot of people know me for this too. They send on social media 8 names every day. And if it's your name that day, you can go get free ice cream.
Wow.
So every day I screenshot that and I text it to all these people saying it's your name of the day. Anyway, it's the
Oh,
best
hey,
ice
I
cream.
never got a text. So now that you have my phone
Well,
number,
exactly.
shoot
Now,
that
whenever
over.
there's a Chris or a Christopher, it's going to be your day.
Yeah, perfect.
But I didn't
I've
have
got
your
both
number
those names.
until right here.
Perfect.
So, you're in
Friends
luck
now.
now. Now I have your number.
Perfect.
Anyway, the month of free ice cream was every single day, and that coincided with the birth of our 3rd child. We have 4 now. They're 8,
Okay.
6, 3, and 1, but this is when the 3rd child was born,
Wow.
and when you have a child that's born, you typically get a meal train. That means lots of meals delivered to you.
Hmm.
So, that whole season was a lot of extra
A lot of
calories, right?
food. Yeah.
And that whole season led to numbers on the scale I had never seen before.
I
And
bet.
just for me, I had never seen that number. I'm not Dustin. I'm not my coach. He saw way big numbers. But for me, it was personal. I was like, okay, I got to do something.
What was the number? I'm always curious. You're not going to
For
tell me.
me, it was like 193.
Okay.
So,
Yep. Hey, no, the same. I was at like close to 170, and now I'm at 145. So,
yeah. So it's
so
relative
to
for
me, that was
people.
shorter. It was getting a big belly. So I
Yeah.
understand. Hey, that. And I was what, 25, 30 pounds overweight.
Yeah, now I'm a
I'm with
healthy
it.
175. Yeah.
Perfect. See,
But
that's not healthy for me. 175. So your 175 is different.
yeah, exactly. I was like, it is a little relative depending on height and just body
Yeah,
weight, mass, and just
100%.
body structure. So anyway, all of that led me to just start running more, a little bit more, like 3 times a week. So I
Just
decided
saying, hey, I need to run more.
I'm gonna
Okay.
run I was doing CrossFit. That was okay
Oh,
at that
okay.
time work wise. Had gone back to CrossFit. I didn't it just wasn't working for me. So it's like, all right, I'm just gonna run for 1 hour 3 times a week. So that was kind of like September, October 2022. And then this guy named Rick Smith. This is
Oh,
another person you should have on the podcast. Rick Smith, for multiple reasons you need to do it. But Rick Smith just on Facebook invited, hey, anybody want to run the Dallas half marathon with me? It's this one, 2022. This is 5 days before the race. And I was like, let me think. I don't know. Let me go see if I can run 8 miles. If I can run 8 miles, I think I can run 13. And so I do that successfully without pain. And so I sign up on 3 days' notice. And back in that year, that could still be done because it wasn't sold out 3 days before. Now,
yeah.
the story
Now it
can't
is.
be written, but because it's selling out early and
That's right.
earlier each year. But in
4 or 5 months
2022,
before. So,
yeah, it was 3 days notice. And so I didn't even know Rick. He just was on staff at the church I used to go to, and he used to be on staff, but I'll get to what he does in later on in the second marathon story. But basically, I show up on the DART train. We take the DART train down to downtown to run the marathon. We meet each other for the first time. And I don't know
so you never
anything,
met the guy before? Like you never met him and
not
you saw a
personally.
Facebook post or something or what?
You got it.
Okay.
DM'd him
And
and
you were like running by yourself all this time, not running
yeah,
with
yeah.
anybody?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know anything, had not trained, but I had somewhat of a running base, maybe.
Okay.
So the race starts, it's all hype, and we shoot out at, for us, way too fast. He
Right.
has a Garmin and he has an Apple Watch, and he's got all these alarms saying, you're going way too fast. And Rick's a very fun runner. He's a hooper and a hollower and a singer and an encourager. And he's telling everybody we're going way too fast. But we shoot out at an 8:20 pace or something that was way too fast for us. And 6 miles in, he keeps checking on me. How am I feeling? I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. And then we take a donut hole from a bystander. And then I had never done any training, right? And so the Gatorade, I was getting real sticky. Like I didn't know how to use the cups. I was getting real messed up. Also,
You don't know how
I
to
had
use a cup? You just take a drink.
it was sploshy. I'm trying to run. I didn't
Yeah.
stop. I was like, I'm gonna run and drink, and it was
Okay.
messy everywhere.
Yeah, it happens.
So the other thing I forgot that I had even packed was I actually brought 2 grand layers flaky biscuits. I put them in a
Hmm,
Ziploc bag and they were in my pocket. I thought I might eat
it's
them
kind of weird. It's,
before the race, but I forgot they were there. There's so much hype and I start running and it
you
isn't
just forget.
until like mile 7 I remember that these giant bulging biscuits in my pocket are there.
It's so strange.
And Rick then hands me a goo. I didn't know what a goo was. It was birthday cake flavored. He said,
Ugh.
you're going to feel a second wind. You're going to feel great. It's going to hit you. And I was like, I don't feel it. I'm starting to feel sick. And I started slowing down for the first time. And he sets off, continues, and he PRs in a 151 for him.
Great.
So good for him. But then I'm like, why do I still have these biscuits? I'm not feeling so great. And then the thought came to mind, you got to risk it for the biscuits. I was like,
Ugh.
okay, I guess that means I don't throw away the biscuits. Whatever. They're in my pocket. So they're there. And
You
it's
didn't just
funny
think, hey,
after
I should eat it.
yeah, I was just like, I'm just going to keep them in my pocket. I couldn't take them out. Anyway,
Yeah.
mile 10, I'm in a bad place. I'm seeing stars. I'm feeling faint, cold sweats. I am about to fall over. I'm like, I could fall over
It
and
was like
faint
dehydration
any
at its
moment,
best.
100%. I had
Yeah.
no idea what I was doing. I went out too fast. I bonked. I didn't know that term at the time. Half marathon. This isn't even a full, but
That's all right. Half's
it
a lot for
went,
most people. I mean,
yeah,
even a half,
yeah. But I was not prepared. And then the
obviously.
2 hour pace guy comes up from behind me. And
Mm,
if there was a goal, I was like, that's the guy I got to beat. And so for the last 3 miles, it was just trying to
that'd be
stay ahead
rough.
of him.
Yeah.
And I do finish 15 seconds ahead of that guy. And
Nice.
then Rick was waiting for me, and I get there and I put my arm around him and I'm barely hanging on. and we go get all the finisher stuff. And then I was like, oh no, I forgot my medal. I got to go back. And he said, dude, it's on your neck.
Eh,
So I was out of it. And then, yeah, I did take the biscuits out and I did eat the biscuits. They were returned to doughy, but they were safe in the Ziploc bag. So it took me about 30 minutes to recover. But from there, about 2 weeks later, I started thinking, what the heck does it take to run double that? I
mm,
can't fathom a marathon. And that led me to start putting some pieces together to figure out how to run my first full marathon. Let's put a full training plan in place and figure out, what does that look like? Meanwhile,
so
my
you
wife,
just, yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead. Your wife, what?
Meanwhile, my wife, yeah, that half marathon, that was your birthday present. Now you want to go do a full? Okay, that's going to be your next birthday present. That's your
Mhm.
Christmas birth. She's, you can go do this, but I you have to do it when I'm asleep. Everyone's asleep. And
Yeah,
that was key and continues to be key to training because my wife does yoga.
yeah,
She does yoga 3 or 4 times a week, but she does it all in the evening.
yeah.
So I have all the kids. I am feeding them dinner, starting the bedtime process. She goes 6 to 7 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then she goes at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday mornings. It's
Okay.
actually more than yoga. It's a strength and conditioning class, which is great for her.
Yeah.
So
You
that
guys have
meant
your kind of ways of doing things. You have 4 kids and they're really young. So you have to
100%.
kind of balance that. How does that work? She does that and you run in the mornings usually, or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she sleeps in as best she can, but kids wake her up for sure. But
Mhm.
I'm trying to get all my running in on the weekdays between 5 and 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And then on the weekends, just Saturday, usually it's 5 to 8 a.m. I need to be home by 8:15 so she can get to yoga.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. It works well. She's not competing for morning time, but I
Yeah.
serve her well in getting some nighttime out.
Love it. That's partnerships at its best.
Yeah.
Both are
Yeah,
being
it
able to
works.
do stuff. So that's great.
Yeah. So the first training cycle, I found a marathonhandbook.com free Excel spreadsheet and I started putting things together. I found a few people saying you just need to run 3 or 4 times a
Mhm.
week. You should have a speed work day, a long run day,
Who were you
and
talking
a
to that
cross
says three
day.
or four times a week?
What's that?
Who were you talking to that said do it 3 or 4 times a week for a marathon?
Just running 3 or 4 times a week is all you need to do. You
Who
just
said
need to,
this?
I
Oh,
mean,
who were you talking to? No
there were some people
non-runners?
on Instagram
Oh,
that
okay.
were selling coaching stuff. I didn't subscribe to any of it, but I heard what he was saying. I was like, I like that. I don't want to go overboard. I
Yeah.
just want to
No, I get
finish the
that.
marathon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
But
3 or 4
I
times is
made up
not
my own training plan and
okay.
I loved playing basketball still. And I played on Wednesday mornings and Friday mornings
Okay.
sometimes. And then I also did every type of random workout class you could get a free trial to. So I did
Mm,
Spenga. You ever heard of Spenga? Spenga is great. Spenga is spin, cycling, strength, like a workout gym,
yeah.
and then yoga, Spenga.
Okay.
So I did a 3-day trial there, a 3-day trial to F5, a 3-day trial to Planet Fitness, 3-day trial to the YMCA. Like anybody who had a free something, there's
Go try it
a
out.
a thing called Class Pass that
Yeah.
would give you a free month of a bunch of classes. So I went to bar, I went to different things that absolutely had no business going to, but it was
You
great
you
because
can do Orange Theory for one day for free.
yes, that I could do Orange Theory for a day.
Mm.
Exactly.
Anyways,
Anyway, so that was all my cross training, but every week as I went up in mileage, it was a new PR for distance. I've
and you're
never
doing this all
been,
by yourself.
yeah, 100%. I
Okay.
didn't really have anybody with me, but on my first long run, which was only an 8-mile run, that was a
Mhm.
week 1 training plan. This is January 2023. I ran into Dustin Durakshin. So at the
Okay.
end of my run, I finished at Prairie Creek Elementary.
I thought it was Durakishan.
Durakishan?
I'm not
We'll have
wrong?
to ask Dustin. I think it's
Yeah,
Durakshin, but it's
Durakshan.
hard to say.
Okay. I don't know. I
Literally.
got it wrong. I said it like that the first time. He's, yeah, that's right. I was like, all right.
Okay, it
I don't
could.
know.
I don't know. A lot of people
It
just call
doesn't
him D-Rock, right?
D-Rock.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I did not know him at all, but I planned to finish my run there, and he happened to be there. I told my wife, "Hey, pick me up from over here." That was the plan,
Yeah.
and the kids got to play on the playground, and his kids were at the playground, and my wife and his wife, lo and behold, had our daughters on this exact same day. So they were the same exact age, our firstborns. And they were part of a new mom ministry called Square One back in those days. So that's cool. They actually knew each other. But I went over to Dustin because he was wearing a New York City marathon jacket. And he just was talking to these other few people about marathoning. And I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing my first marathon. I just inserted myself into the conversation,
Perfect.
and he invited me into the Canyon Creek Running Club.
Okay.
And that's just where we were. And he said, hey, you got to come to Track Tuesdays and come do some speed work. That's important. So that was great because I
Yeah.
started getting a real community, and I had no idea what I was getting into. But that was a key part of speed work and finding people that
Mhm.
would absolutely get me faster. And so he was part of
Or get
another
you
running group.
consistent and get you, you lucked out, in my opinion. You get somebody like Dustin that, really knows what he's doing. And I think that's awesome. And so you just learn from that.
Absolutely. He added me on a group text that day, and
Yeah.
I had a bunch of people, bunch of dads that,
Yes.
and some way more than that, like intense runners who were doing
Yeah.
some crazy things. And so I would do the warm up with them, right? When I would show up, it's like, all right, we're gonna do a 2 mile warm up, and I'd be puffing and puffing, just trying to keep up with them
Hmm.
on that. But then they would go do whatever pace they're doing, and I'll do it at my pace. And then it was like, let's do cool down miles. Okay, now I'm running with them again. And I would just berate them with all the questions I could about, okay, I'm learning about fueling. I'm
Yeah.
learning about shoes. Hey, what kind of shoes do you get? And just
Mm.
all the things that I didn't know. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, I don't have a
That's awesome.
watch. Everyone has this Garmin thing. What is that? My whole first training cycle, I didn't have a watch. I didn't have anything. I literally bought a running belt, and I had my phone and I pressed start on Strava.
Hmm.
So I just ran by feel. I did not run by paces. I didn't know any paces at all. And then again, every week, 15 miles, new PR for distance, 17 miles, 19 miles, 21 miles.
You must be
I
pretty
remember
good.
remember thinking I'm about to go on a 23-mile run. I ran
Yeah.
from Watermark down the White Rock Creek Trail, around White Rock Creek, and back up to Watermark. That's
Hmm.
23 miles.
It's
That
pretty
was
cool.
crazy. In March 2023, I was like, that is so far. And I did it. It was so hot. It was burning hot. It was like 70 degrees. But I learned
Hmm.
like 70 degrees is really hot because your body warms up about 20 degrees. So it felt like 90 to
Yeah.
me, but it wasn't. So
You'll know when it's
I was,
90.
yeah, just
Yeah.
wait a few months and then it's
Yeah.
really 90 and hotter.
Exactly.
But the first marathon was Irving, April
Mm.
1st, 2023. And that was quite an experience because I had some issues. The first thing was I didn't start on time. I got stuck in a porta potty line. The
Uh,
one I was feeding into was only like 2 porta potties, and there were other lines feeding into 4 and 6.
mhm.
And I felt like pot committed to the line I had chosen. But by the time the race started, I'm like still 3 people in line. I can't switch. What do I do? There were a lot of people still waiting. Anyway, so I had gotten to a place where I think maybe I could do a 4-hour marathon. I
Okay.
think maybe I try and beat the predictions, the calculators where you can do a 4:11 marathon. I
Mm.
was like, oh, so I'm going to try and beat that, but I'm going to go for 4, see how it works. So I knew that pace. That's what I did for the half, 9:09 a mile. And problem was I lost all the pacers, right? Started 5 minutes late, but I knew it's my chip time, right? I knew as soon as I start the race, that's my
Yeah.
race, but I lost the pacers. What do I do? So I have a choice. Do I just pace myself at a 9:09? Or do I chase down the 4-hour pace guy?
Bad idea.
I decided to chase down the 4-hour pace guy like a rookie racer would. So I set off at an 8:30 pace for 15 miles and catch him. I catch the 4-hour pace guy and the posse
So
that he
really,
was
you're at
with.
about 3:55. You know.
Exactly. I was like, hey, if I finish with you, I'm going to beat it. But I knew, and I told them at that point when I caught them at mile 15, I'm not going to be able to sustain this. So I already knew I was cooked. I did stay with them for 5 miles.
Okay.
And
So
then
20. Yeah.
mile 20, 21, you look at my Strava bar chart, it's like slower and slower. And so
It happens.
it, I didn't cramp or anything, but my hips needed a break.
Yeah.
So I stretched 5 times, but I didn't like kill myself. I had figured out fueling a little bit. I started with Crank Sport E-Gel, something that was marketed to me on Instagram, I'm sure. And it had
You really pay
electrolytes.
attention to Instagram, don't you?
It had, apparently, once you get into running, what are all your at? It's just running stuff. And they had a good calculator saying if you're running this distance and it's this temperature, then and you're this body weight and stuff, you need this much electrolytes, this much water, and this much fuel. So that was all new to me, that whole experience. So
Yeah.
I knew I had 7 of these Crank Sport e-gels,
Love it.
taking plenty of carbs, and it came with electrolytes. And then I actually had a belt with water bottles, and then I was still taking other stuff. But by the end of that race, I was just like, I can't. It was so acidic. I could not handle anything. So the last thing I had was a banana. That actually was nice. Mile
Yeah.
like 23. But
Wow.
those miles were 10-minute miles. My mile 25 was like 11-minute mile. So I
Yeah.
started great, and then I just classically positively split and finished in 4:03. So
That's not bad.
9:17 a mile.
Your first
Great fun.
marathon, you ran I think my first marathon was a 3:39. So I ran
Yeah,
my very first marathon, did that, and then, but my second marathon I ran, it was like 70 degrees at the start, and I thought I was running with the 320 group, thinking, you know what, screw it, I'm just going for a 320. Well, that was a mistake because
it's hot.
it was hot. It was really hot, and so I started out at about a 140 half, and then my next half was about a 229, 219. So I hit 3 hours and 59 minutes my second. It just goes to show, like,
Interesting.
yeah, it
Race
just,
strategy matters.
yeah, I was young and dumb and I didn't know. And I think that you just made just rookie mistakes, but still ran a 4 hour and 3 minutes. It's not bad.
Absolutely. And that was the first marathon. Before I ran that, I actually committed to my second marathon. So I
Wait, what was
knew
your
I
first
would.
marathon? Irving. You ran
This
Irving
is
Marathon.
Irving,
Okay.
April 1st,
Got it.
2023.
Got it. What was your
So
second one?
the second one I signed up for in like February or March because Rick Smith, the guy who
Okay.
I ran the half with, he runs a nonprofit called Hope Story.
Hmm.
Hope Story is a nonprofit that helps medical professionals help families process the diagnosis of Down syndrome. And instead of saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, yeah, your kid has Down syndrome." No, it's a congratulations. You have a child. They're going to have special needs. Here, community, here's support, message of hope. Hope Story partners with a lot of running charities. Really, it's the New York City Marathon, as well as a bunch of Disney races where
Okay.
people raise money for Hope Story and they get you access to run the race. So I
Cool.
signed up for the New York City Marathon
Oh,
through
well.
Hope Story. And I actually started fundraising the week before my first marathon because it was in November,
Yeah.
knowing this is a long way off. But hey, that's going to be a marathon. I'm running a marathon right now. I can talk about this and start getting donations, and then I can raise more before. And that's exactly how I did it. So I
How much
actually
did you
raised
have to get? What was the goal?
3,000
Okay.
is the minimum,
Yeah.
but I raised 4,000 that week.
Great.
And then
Oh,
in
wow.
the next 4 or 5 months, I raised 4 more thousand. So I
Dang.
raised 8,000 total. I wrote letters. I was all about it. It was a fun experience. There were 20 of us on Team Hope Story, and I loved it.
Cool.
I had 81 donors. I went all out for it. It was great. It was super fun to raise
That is
money for
cool.
Rick, for Hope Story. Great organization. Again, you got to have him on the podcast.
Yeah, maybe.
He
A lot of
has
Rick Smiths out there, just like Andrew
yeah.
Smith. There's a lot of
Yes.
the Smith
No
thing.
relation. Yeah, it just
Oh,
Smith and Rick and very common names. But no, he has his own crazy marathoning story, and now he's so deep into it with Hope Story and running. He's exactly what DFW Running Talk is about. So
wait, that's cool. And so you go to New York then.
yeah, so I had my whole second training marathon cycle through the
What does
summer.
your wife think about this, by the way?
So
Is
that
she
one
like,
I
oh
told
my
her.
goodness, dude?
So that one was, hey, do we want to do this? This was more of a let's do this together and make it
Hmm.
a 10-year anniversary trip. And so that was like, great. New York's a great city. We had been there, but
Yeah.
let's go see it and do the marathon. And so she
Did you
was
take the
okay with it.
kids?
No kids, right? We're going to make a
Okay.
big trip of it. And
Got it.
so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had 4 days in the city and then the marathon on Sunday, flew back on Monday.
That's tough doing 3 days, 4 days of stuff and then going to the marathon.
But
But
it's so much
made
fun
it
at the
happen.
same time.
Yeah. That's awesome.
My parents did end up coming as well, so we
Cool.
got taken around by them, which was great. My dad, he's pushing 73 or 74 at that point. He wanted to take
Yeah.
a taxi everywhere. So we didn't actually have to walk. Like, I'm very used to New York City 20,000 step days, and it was like
Yeah.
1,000 step days in New York. This is nice. So
Yeah.
we didn't have to
I
walk
like
too
it.
much because he wanted to not walk. He was about to have a foot surgery, and he did right after the marathon. But anyway,
Wow.
he could still walk. He just anyway, he's recently recovered from all that, and he's back to softball and basketball and golf. He has his own
That's great.
living
Super
legend.
active.
Yeah,
Maybe
he's
it runs in
crazy.
the family.
He does. Yeah, he's got his own athleticism. He's 75 now, and he's still hitting bombs like in golf,
Perfect.
in softball. Still likes to play basketball if he can.
I hope to be like that when I'm 75.
Absolutely. No, my dad's my hero, so he's great. So yeah, New York was fun. It was very hilly.
Yeah. It's a
And
tough one.
similarly to my first marathon, I did not start on time. So there's a
What's
whole,
going on, man?
there's a whole subway and a ferry and a bus to get to the
Hmm.
Staten Island start, right? But Rick Smith steered me wrong. He said, I give it an hour and a half.
Yeah.
No, you needed at least 2.5 hours to do all of that. So the whole New York City Marathon experience is wild because of the scale of it. There's
Yeah.
15 different starts, really, because there's 5 waves, but 3 different start areas.
Hmm.
And so there's 15 of them, really. And I was in wave 3 on blue side of the bridge, but since I missed my time, which was like 10:20, I did
Hmm.
not arrive until about 10:30. That meant I got to go to the front of wave 4.
Yeah.
So wave 4 for the first 8 miles was amazing because
Hmm.
I was faster than everyone else in the wave.
So you're passing a lot of people when you're feeling good.
There's nobody to pass. It's just
Oh, you're
me.
at the front. Got it.
Exactly. And a
Got it.
lot of other people that were late were with me. So I found
Hmm.
it was so cool because it's so international. There was a bunch of French people. There was a Portugal guy. I actually ran with a guy from Brazil for the
Hmm.
first 13 miles. And we were just tracking. We were both thinking 350, 345,
Okay.
340. We weren't exactly sure, but that was the range. But this Brazilian guy, he was all doing his math in kilometers, but
Hmm.
he was saying we're going to do 5 kilometers per hour. And I knew that was around 8 minutes a mile. And I was like, that's a little faster than we need to go. But I was with him and we just did it. And he had we're just chatting in our marathon
Yeah.
and having fun with it.
That's cool.
I still
I
follow
like
him on
that.
Strava, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But we went out way too fast. That is reality
Of
of it.
course.
And what actually happened is all those 3 routes, those 3 starts, they
Yeah.
merge at mile 8. And the problem
Hmm.
with that is because we started late and we were faster than all of wave 3 that we were running through, the one that started 30 minutes ahead of us,
Yeah.
we were running through tens of thousands of people for the
Hmm.
rest of the marathon. So in the New York City Marathon, at the end of the race, it said you started in 26,000th place.
Yeah.
This tells me, I was like, oh, this is the only marathon that's told me what place I started in.
It's
But
pretty
and then
cool.
I finished in about 10,000th place.
You
So
passed a lot of people.
16,000 people in
Yeah.
about 16 miles.
Mhm.
And that's what it felt like. I ran into so many people because the crowd, there's 1 million people along the route in New York.
Yeah.
I am
A lot.
just squeezed and trying to go in and out everybody at my 8,
You probably weren't thinking
8:30.
about that though, were you? You probably didn't understand how massive the crowd was, I
I mean,
assume, in the
cognitively
beginning.
did know these numbers that this is how many people would be there,
Yeah.
but experiencing it and the loudness
Yeah.
of it was overwhelming. It
Hmm.
really was. But at the same time, it was really cool because I got to see my
Yeah.
wife at mile 8,
Wow. It's good.
16, and 25
Good
and
for her.
give her a hug every single time. They would cycle through to get to the front of the barricades and say, is your runner coming? My runner's coming. I had my phone every race. I've had my phone and I've had my AirPods so I can communicate. I can
Yeah.
have calls. So we called, we
That's
talked,
cool.
we can
Oh,
text if we really wanted to.
man, I'm focused. I would never talk on the phone while running.
And that's been
a
my thing. I
race.
don't know a ton of people who do, but I've always run with my phone, run with my AirPods. Siri can announce text to you and you can
Yeah,
verbally reply.
yeah,
So sometimes I'm doing that.
yeah,
But a phone call is even easier than that, right? You
yeah.
can
It is.
answer it from your watch and then
Sure,
yeah. So it was a
sure.
really great experience for her. It took her one subway down to mile 8, same subway to up to mile 16,
Yeah.
4 avenues over to get to mile 25 in Central Park. Anyway, it went really well overall. I did end up cramping in a quad mile
Uh-huh.
25, but I could run through it, and I finished in 3:48.
I mean, that's
8
a huge PR.
8:48 a mile, and it's very hilly, right?
Yeah,
So, after New York, it was like, I feel like I'm gonna ask for something again, Becca. I really wanna know what Becca's my wife's name.
yeah.
What
Hopefully, hopefully it's
what
somebody
could I
else.
do on a flat course, right? What if I did a flat course marathon? Like, how fast do you think I could go? I've never run this much. I'm in the best shape of my life. Feel like I've lost a lot of weight. What could I do? And so, Houston,
Uh-huh.
January 2024 was the third
Mhm.
marathon. So, this is just 8 months after my first
Are you still
marathon.
running with Dustin and the
Yeah.
group? Okay.
Yeah. And I also did the Dallas half 1 year later. And so no training, 2 hours. 1 year later, Dallas half marathon, I did it in 1:36. So
That's amazing.
24, more than almost 2 minutes per mile
Yeah,
on a
but I
half
mean, you've run
marathon,
two
right?
marathons and you've
Yeah.
really
Just
made a
totally different.
huge, you went from 403 to 340 something. And 136 is really good, but I I wouldn't have been surprised. It'd be like a great job, but you have
Yeah.
been training a lot more and you're a little bit smarter,
Exactly.
especially for halves. And you've done lots of training for a marathon you've done 13 miles, 15 miles, 18 miles. So half
Yeah.
marathon's only going to get a lot
Right.
fast.
Yeah.
Makes a lot
It
of sense.
now at that point it was like it's only a half, right? Where
Yeah, that's
before it
right.
was like, I don't know, I've never really run that
Yeah, of
far before.
course. It's
And
all
now yeah,
mindset. It's
only a
all
half.
it's all about training. A lot of people will say things like, "Man, I could never do what you do." I was like, one, with that attitude, that's true. But
That's
two, it's a lot of training, and if you start training for it, then you can, if you really care to do it. Not everybody wants to run a half marathon or 100 miles or whatever it is that they're trying to do. You could even say, "Hey, Andrew, how about 100 miles?" You're like, "Oh my God, I would never do that." But you could if you just put
absolutely.
your mind to it. I'm not saying it's not hard because it is,
Yeah.
but so is a marathon.
That's
So
right.
is all these things are hard, but you put your mind to it, you'll do it.
Yeah.
You can do it.
And around this time that I was starting on my marathons was the first time I ran into a few people in my neighborhood that were doing 100Ks. They were doing 62-mile races. They're doing
Yeah.
Bandera. And they'd
Yeah.
been doing it for years. And they started talking about how they had to fuel and eat PB&J while they're
Yeah.
running. And I'm just like, run and eat? Like, how do you even do that? So there was a fascination.
They have aid stations that have that stuff, right?
I
So
didn't
it's a lot
understand it.
easier.
It
Yeah.
was just y'all are different animals going to run
It is
60 plus miles at a time. That's crazy.
it's
But that's a
crazy.
whole nother culture. There's road marathoners and then there's trail runners and there's a whole bevy of social media
But it
fun.
all related. It all intertwines. Those trail runners are running on the road to get there.
Yeah.
Mostly in Dallas. How many trails are there that you can just go to every day? Hardly ever. You can't do that. Maybe the
No.
weekends or whatever. But
Yeah.
so it all. But yeah, it's a little bit different of a atmosphere. I love the trails. I think it's amazing. Like
Yeah.
I haven't done them in a couple of years, but even if you look at my trophy thing, I have 10 different trail things I've done in the past, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I've done
I
tons
think
of
I
those.
think once I get past my road marathon days, I will absolutely do a trail race or two, but we'll see. No
Yeah.
plans.
All right. So you go to Houston, and did you do a little bit better? Were you more confident, or what happened?
Yeah, so this between Dallas half and Houston full, that's when I first got Dustin to coach me. So that was
Okay.
in
You
just
get
that
he's your
six
coach.
week, yeah, that 6 week period. That's it. Only
Is
for
he any
that
good?
time.
Do you think?
Is he any good as a coach?
Yeah. Do you think was it worth it?
Absolutely. Yeah, Dustin is amazing. He's run a 2:34 marathon
Doesn't mean
and
he's a good coach. He's just a good runner. No.
does mean a few things. And
Yeah.
he is great.
Yeah.
We'd all call him Coach Dustin. Like whenever we're at the track, like he's the loudest hype encourager of all. And that's
Yeah.
one part of a coach. A lot of his coaching is virtual and he's just uploading plans, but it's still personalized. And so it's just,
Yeah.
it helps. And you can tell that he cares. And I'd say Dustin was always one of those people whenever I was running more marathons, he was always saying, dude, you don't even know what the next chapter you could
Yeah.
unlock is. And so he was always believing that I could do more, that I had more potential. He wasn't like just looking to sign me up as a coaching client. Like, he was just a friend that was like, dude, you keep going, you're going to get a lot faster. You're going to surprise yourself. And that was
Oh,
absolutely
and
true.
he's right. If you've been doing this long enough, you've been running long enough, you've been watching a lot of people, like even I can tell you, I don't do, look, Dustin's great. I had him on the show. And, as a matter of fact, I'm sure if he listens to this, his is one of the highest. And I still to this day, he must just have a lot of friends and a lot of people that care and like him and very well respected. So I understand, I could see that. But he's had the most downloads out of anybody just in one show and
That's
still
cool.
holds it today. So the reason I say it is because I didn't like when I first interviewed him, I knew who he was and I talked to him slightly, but I didn't know how well respected he is as a person, as a coach,
Yeah.
as a running. He's very well liked. And so it's just an interesting thing. But if you've
Yeah.
done this long enough, and I have too, is I can see somebody. If I see you and we run together, I could see your talent. You know where they can go. Whether they do it or not, it's kind of up to them. But one, I think that it takes time from a marathon standpoint for your body to get into the shape that it really needs.
Mhm.
It could take 3 or 4 years to really get
Yeah.
that, to start running at the level, and then
Right.
start training at the level. But then also the confidence. Confidence is the most important thing to a runner. When if I saw you and said, yeah, Andrew, you could do probably a 240 marathon, or I don't know, whatever, I'm making this up, but he has the ability to do a 240, but he won't get there until he has the confidence himself. So if you're
Right.
training at a 3 hours, you're probably not going to hit a 240 because you're thinking, I'm a 3 hour. I got to try to hit that 3 hours. When really, maybe you could at that time hit a 255 or two, whatever. The point is like the confidence, all these training things important, but I think as important as a coach to me would be like seeing that full potential. It's going to take patience because it's going to push that for you. You got to be patient, but you got to do the work. And if you do that, at some point, that confidence starts coming. And it sounds
100%.
like some of that's come to. So I think I've seen it 100 times. Like I just know the talent, but I could appreciate Dustin saying those and just being that kind of. I can see him do
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, it was just the mentality that it's a long-term thing. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah, it is.
just a sprint, it's a marathon.
Because any day a marathon you can screw up. You can just I don't know, your stomach starts to hurt, or you have to go to the bathroom 3 or 4 times, or who knows. And you hit a 420 because something happened. You blew up. I don't know, whatever. But
Yeah.
it can happen. That just happens at
Yeah.
times.
Just having the long-term perspective of fitness and life. Dustin's gotten faster in some ways since he got 40, hit
Yeah,
40, and he didn't expect to get faster as a master. That's just what happened. And then he's running his injury stuff, and now he's rebuilding and trying to.
yeah,
So we go through seasons. It's going to happen. But it's been fun to see what could happen as I've progressed. And yeah, Houston, let's see. The first marathon I started on time. Yay.
finally, did it
So
pay off?
it paid off big time. And I did not, every race, I've set an A goal, a B goal, and a C goal. A is always
Yeah.
a stretch. If it's my best possible day, weather's perfect, and I go faster than I probably should, I maybe could do that.
What
B
was your A
goal's the
goal?
target. A
Yeah.
goal was 330.
Okay.
B goal was something like 335. C goals, I think I'm totally capable of this. This is Houston. It should be cold, 340. Man, that race was perfect cold weather in 2024. And man, I let it go and I finished in 329. So
Nice. Hey,
the
you hit
A
a
goal.
little bit over A goal.
Absolutely. I was like, whoa, I've never even been close to the A goal. I had an A goal for all the marathons and I never hit it. I always hit the B goal, but
Yeah.
Houston was magical for me that first time.
Nice.
But
Houston's a great course. I love it.
yeah. And it was very cathartic. It was like we're now due with our fourth kid. So
Oh,
this
okay.
marathoning season is over. I had these 3 marathons within a year, and it's just so much emotion, so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just normally how you feel after a marathon. But it was also just, oh, I'm gonna miss this. This is gonna be it. And
It's gonna be it.
basically,
Okay, this
for
podcast is
that
over. Goodbye.
Yeah, I thought that would be it for a while, and I had no plans besides gonna have a kid in August. We had
Yeah.
just found out we were pregnant, and then Becca didn't really want me to run a whole bunch more. I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll just run a little bit on my own."
Yeah.
And one thing I had started in my second training cycle was I tested my 5K every
Uh-huh.
month. So I have actually 3 years of data, 27 out of 36 months, I've tested my 5K. And to see where I started was around 22 and a half minutes.
It's pretty good.
And then by that point, I'd gotten down to a 20-minute something, just under 7-minute miles. And then during that year of 2024, it was really tough in a lot of ways. Professionally, I know you touched on that,
Yeah.
job change. We also had a big house claim. The straight line winds, 90 mile per hour, blew
Mm.
two of our trees, all the branches on our house. And it was
Oof.
more than just like a roof. It was structural damage. And that was a 3-month claim of redoing the house, all in job transition,
A lot
all
of
the
stuff.
things. Running was certainly an outlet for stuff I could do, but I was getting slower and slower because I was not training.
Yeah, of
And
course.
basically, I still tested the 5K and it got slower and slower, but we finished the house renovation the day before our fourth kid was born. We had the baby. He started sleeping. We're doing okay. I got a new job and I'm feeling that itch to start training again. And Becca, lo and behold, green lights me for Houston again,
Okay.
2025, January 2025. So it's October. Let's start training again. And I start running with everybody like I was, but I found a few other people in my neighborhood
Mm.
that were my speed. So that was
That's
awesome.
pretty cool.
Michael Groves,
Mhm.
he was running very close to my speed and he had Matt Campbell as a coach.
Okay.
So I would just kind of run with Michael Groves. And then we had another guy named Ray Libator. He's an ultra runner. He's
Yeah, I
run
know him. I know him
dozens.
well.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
So he and me and Michael, we would all run often, like 2, 3 times a week. And I put together another training cycle, training plan. Actually, no, that's not true. I literally just followed what Michael did. So this was the first one.
I
It's
mean,
like
it's
a little wheels off, but it was
Matt
very
Campbell's a good
calculated
coach, so perfect.
because Matt was coaching us. So I freeloaded on his plan,
It
basically that
happens.
whole training cycle until I did the Dallas half for the third time.
Yep.
That was the sort of warmer day, but I did a 132 that December.
It's progress.
And
Big
it was
progress.
fine. It was progress. But like Michael, he was like a 127. So
Yeah.
he did great.
That's really good in
Um,
Dallas.
but he had not yet run his first marathon. And
Mm.
during that kind of period between Dallas half and Houston full, I got Dustin to coach me again. Michael was
Just for
dealing
like
with
4 weeks or 3 weeks?
yeah, that's it. That kind of 6-week period between
Oh, it was
Dallas half and
6.
Houston
Okay.
full. It's closer to 6, yeah.
Okay.
Michael was dealing with some Achilles stuff, which
Mhm.
wasn't super fun, hard to see. And so, yeah, I needed Dustin to start coaching me again. And 1 year later, I started on time again. And this was a very chilly, cold day. And this is the
I
one
remember it
where
was windy and really
very
cold, like
windy, like
20s. Yep.
20, 25 mile per hour winds. I did a full ski mask. And so this is the one where
Wasn't
I
that
felt like
cold?
it stole the marathon. It looked very scary, but I had fun with it. Going into the winds, I had to go face down and it felt much better in the full ski mask versus when I'd go up. It was chilly. But
Yeah.
yeah, just that race went awesome again. And I had my A goal at 3:15.
Okay. It's quite a
3:20
bit.
was the B goal. Yeah. And the C goal is just PR, just do better than 3:29. And I again beat the A goal. I did
Oh,
3:14.
hey,
So that's what was it? The 3:29, that's a 7:59 mile. This was a 7:25 mile. And I was like, dang, that's really good. That's fast, right? My
did you ever
definition of
think,
fast.
okay, now I think I can get to Boston? Because Boston for you is what, a 3 hours, 3:05 or something like that?
Yeah.
3
So
hours.
Yeah, so I, in Boston's eyes, was already 35, and now I am
Mm.
officially 35, and it's based off of what age are you for the Boston
Yeah.
that you're
Yeah. Yeah.
qualifying for. So I
Yep.
was 35, and I am 35 now. And yes, for a 35-year-old male, it's a 3-hour standard. And so
So really, you need a
after Houston,
2:55 or under.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So in the next year, all of 2025, I didn't have a child that was being born. I had a stable job. I was way more conditioned, could absolutely run 20 miles and be completely fine to serve my family.
Yeah.
Whereas in the first training cycles, that
It's
really
tough.
took a great
Yeah.
endurance toll on me, and I might be dead to the world. And that didn't serve the family well. But now I fit it all well as best I could in
Yeah.
that little 5 to 7 window weekdays and 5 to 8 on
Look,
Saturdays.
man, I think you do what you have to do, and look, do some running and families first. And especially when you got young kids, then you're gonna have to help, and that's just
Right.
reality. And your running's gonna suffer most likely,
Yeah.
but that's okay because
Yeah.
you're still staying in shape and things like that, and you're still accomplishing some goals. And
That's
even if
right.
you didn't, at the end of the day, really, none of us are professionals. We're doing this for our health, and we're doing it because we want to get better. But and it's okay to stop. That's all I'm saying is
Yeah.
I understand. I understand exactly what you're going. I never
Yeah.
had 4 kids, but I had 2.
Right.
And
Yeah, and
so,
but that's the story of 2024 of I
yeah,
needed to do less. It wasn't
yeah,
time to run.
but you still did
2025
pretty
yeah,
good.
2020 I did. I had a 3-minute month training plan, and it absolutely improved me another 15 minutes, which was impressive. That's great. That was a good full effort, and I felt awesome with the result.
Yep.
But 2025 was like, "All right, I don't have any reason to stop." And so where in my first training cycle, I peaked 1 week at 35 miles. My
Okay.
second training cycle, I peaked at 45 miles. My, let's say, fourth training cycle, the one before that one, the one that I had just finished in January
Yeah.
2025, it peaked at 55 miles in just 1 or 2 weeks. That was it. That was the
Yeah.
height of my training plan. But in all of 2025, I decided I'm going to make that peak of 40, 45 miles. I'm going to make that my baseline
Yeah.
now for the rest of the year. Every week, January on to December to January for this year, I averaged a minimum of 40 miles a week, which
Hmm.
felt like a lot, but also I was like, I want this to propel me to the 65 and
Yeah.
above. And this summer, I hired Dustin officially again for not just the 6 weeks between Dallas half and Houston full,
Just
but hey, let's
all
go
the
for
way.
Boston. Let's hit
Yeah.
it. So I need to improve about 20 minutes,
Yeah.
but I think it's possible if I train all year. So I had that all year, speed work, long runs, at least a 2-hour long run every week. And whether on vacation or not, I'm up early and I'm putting in the work. So
Yeah.
this year, the discipline just looked next level.
Yeah.
And I still did some cross training. I found this great community called a bunch
Uh,
of men that have a lot of fun. They meet at Lake Highland sometimes. That was good cross training, and they had fun competitions, a lot of body weight stuff, but it's free and it's great outdoors,
yeah.
and enjoyed that. But the running thing really in the fall took over, and so I couldn't even do that. I put basketball to the side, and I just
Gotcha.
realized let's go volume. And so all of October, November, December, maybe even September, it was 60 miles a week,
Hmm.
just full on. There's still one rest day per week, and
Yeah.
Dustin was programming it all. It was really 2 days of speed work a week. And 3 weeks out of the troll training plan, I got into the 70s. I peaked at 76 miles 1 week.
Nice.
So again, just things I had never done before,
I think when you
averaging
hear
miles
Andrew,
a day.
I, I think that just to back up a little bit,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people that I've talked to, especially those that got as fast as you are now and even faster than that, the key piece that I hear is the volume. And people are doing 80 miles to 120 miles a week, right?
Yep.
Peaking. And I'm not saying that's for everyone.
No.
There is something there about volume. And there's something that if anything that you want to do more of, and that's volume. I'm not saying you shouldn't do
Yeah.
speed work. It's all important. But the more and most important thing, in my opinion, from what I've seen and heard, is the amount of miles that you're doing every single week if you want to make a bigger impact on that marathon time. And I think it's exactly what you did. And it's showing.
Volume does matter. You just can't instantly go run 80 miles a week though when you're brand
Of
new.
course.
And so
Of
that's where
course.
it's really
Yeah,
a long-term thing to
that's right.
even be
It's a good point.
able to do that. And so I would subscribe to what I did, which is like each training cycle, don't go more than 10 more
Yeah.
miles in a training cycle. Any coach is going to say don't go more than 10% more per week than you did the week before. But also, like, your body needs to get used to that
Yeah.
load.
Yeah, I
And
don't
so
disagree. I mean,
each one
each person's
went
body is different, but at the same time you run. You don't go
Yeah.
from, hey, I need to all of a sudden go run 80 miles a week. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous,
Yeah. Good
but
luck.
nobody knows. When you first started running, you didn't know anything,
Right.
nothing. You knew
Nothing.
zero. So
Yeah.
instead, if you ran 20 miles a week, you're thinking, holy cow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to run a marathon. It's a good marathon, but you have to build up to the miles. This is the
100%.
100, your body just takes time to do it. And then, like for me, the most I can do is about 40 to 42 miles, and my body starts breaking down. So I don't
Yeah.
do marathons. I'll do halves, but so you just you do what you can and what your body allows you. I'm 50. I have to think about age too. It's a big thing. All right, you got this big volume, probably feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, and I'd say it's actually the speed work
Mm,
beside the volume that gave me confidence because one of the first things that
of
Dustin had
course.
me do, which I absolutely recommend, is a 1 hour all out. How fast can you go in 1 hour? Now, I
Yeah,
did my test in July, so it was not cold,
it's
but
perfect.
my baseline lactate threshold test on White Rock Lake, so it was as flat as it could be,
Yeah,
was 6:48 a mile. So I went 8.3 miles, I think, in 1 hour.
yeah.
And that basically said, okay, your threshold is 6:48 a mile. That's how fast you can go. All speed work needs to be significantly faster than that. If you're going slower, you're not doing speed work.
Mm,
That is steady, that is threshold. But I'm doing the math on like, okay, if I were to qualify for Boston, 3 hours plus a buffer. Let's go at least 5 minutes. That's a 2:55.
mm.
So I know 3 hours is 6:52 a mile. That already sounded crazy, but 6:40 is a 2:55. So I'm like, okay, I just need to do that about 3 hours worth because like that's as fast and as far as
Sometimes
I
you
could go.
overthink it.
But at the same time, it's real. Like in
It's
July,
real, but
6 months ago,
yeah,
6:48 a mile was as fast as I could go for an hour.
yeah, but you
And
still
then
had
I was
6 months to
going to
go.
be expected, hopefully,
Yeah,
in some cooler weather to do the same pace for 3 hours.
cooler weather
And
helps a ton.
And I would say the cooler weather does help a ton, but also the speed work was high 5 minute miles, low
Mhm.
6 minute miles, intervals
Yeah,
at the smaller intervals at the high fives, and then 1 and 2 mile and 3 mile speed
yeah,
workouts at the 6:10s and 6:20. So I had so many miles of speed work at a 6:20 pace, 6:15
yeah.
pace. And I'd say the biggest change in my speed work this year was that the sloths
Mm,
literally would come to my neighborhood. I don't
yeah.
think they did as much before 2025.
Yeah,
And
it's kind of a
so
newer thing. But Dustin's
this
out there, right? So
yeah, Dustin's a sloth and there's lots of sloths. And I'd say 2025 is also when the sloths became even friendlier, opening up
friendlier.
communication. They allowed everyone to enter
Those
into the
jerks.
conversation.
Okay.
And it was always secretive where they were meeting and how they were meeting.
Mm,
And sometimes I would hear from
that's
Dustin
interesting.
in the Canyon Creek Running Club text, like, hey, the sloths are coming. And
Mm,
that would be fun. Oh, they're going to go test their 1 mile time at the track. It's okay. Let's go test our 1 mile time with the sloths.
yeah.
All right, my goal, don't get lapped by them. And I'm telling you, I barely didn't get lapped by them testing my 1 mile versus their 1 mile. Their 1 mile is for the fastest of them, it was like a 4:40 mile.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, it was like a 5:32 for one fastest mile. That's really
My
great.
best is 550, and that was at that mile thing. So,
Yeah, yeah, the 1776 thing.
yeah.
So it was again still chasing them, but really in 2025, them coming almost every week to my neighborhood really helped because you
That's
got
cool.
Jeff Pells, you got
Yeah.
Aaron Pearson, you got Eric
Hmm.
Brettel, you got Maddie, Jennifer Pope,
Dire. Yeah.
Paul Wells, all of these great Eddie Mello. You got to talk with Eddie. There's so many great fast people that we're all showing up for each other and supporting each other and going really fast and doing it together. Like we hit some amazing 5x1 workouts, tunes, having fun. It just made it a great, memorable workout every Tuesday.
So I guess Aaron brought the tunes then.
Aaron absolutely DJ. There are levels. Aaron's a good minute per mile faster than me
Yeah.
almost, which means I would hang out with Maddie a little bit better and
Okay.
Maddie would bring her tunes as well. So
Got
we
it.
would have multiple tunage happening so that we could all party. We had a lot of
Only fair.
team days. Yeah. And then every now and then I would get down for a big workout down to White Rock Lake. And there was one or two of them that, hey, they just finished CIM.
Yeah.
They all just PR'd.
Yeah.
What an awesome celebration of marathoning together. You already had that
That was a
story.
great story. All these
I
people,
love that.
it was pretty cool. I interviewed a
And
bunch of them.
the next week,
It was a
still training, and I don't need to
good guy.
go as far as fast.
Yeah.
So these super fast sloths are willing to come down to my levels
Cool.
and pace me on my long run. And it was just an incredible workout where, yeah, I'm going to show up. We're doing Andrew's workout. So it was just like this incredible show of support
Mm.
for me to have everybody
Power
around
of
me
community.
going my pace. That was just like, this is so cool. This is
Yeah.
awesome. So it was a beautiful thing this fall having the slots, and eventually like, all right, I'm confident. I PR'd on my half marathon at Dallas again. This time I did 125, under
Hey,
125. So
congratulations.
that was awesome.
It was
And
good validation and probably a lot of good confidence for the
yeah, and
marathon going
that
in.
5K this year, that 5K test, I still did that every month.
Mm.
And I mean, I got 2 minutes faster on my 5K this year.
Oh,
So I got a year ago, I was around just under 20 minutes.
yeah.
And then December 3rd, 2025, I had some sloths pace me and I did it in 17:36.
Wow.
So that's a 5:40 a mile pace for a 5K. And it
That's
was just
super
like,
fast.
what? How did I get that fast? Like, how did this happen? And so all the data points were pointing to, I can do this. And
Yeah.
the confidence was raising. And so going into Houston
2026.
2026
Yeah.
was like, anything's possible. I can absolutely do it. And I'm confident I can do it,
What was your A goal?
but it's a marathon. The
Yeah.
A goal was 255. So I was confident with a 3 hour, but I still made it the C goal. I made the A goal 255 and I made the B goal 257. Like
What's your goal? Oh my gosh, I gotta get into Boston because I was
absolutely.
thinking if it is, then really your A goal, this is just me thinking
It
out
should have
loud,
been
and maybe I'm
faster,
wrong.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, 252 or 253 because the B goal is 255 so that I get into Boston. And C
Yeah.
is it is what it is. I get 3 hours, still pretty good.
Yeah. I
No,
think
pretty damn good, actually. But still,
Yeah, I'd say the A goal and B goal in this one were both same. I never thought for a second I'm only going to end up at 257. This one
yeah,
felt more like absolutely Boston is the target. Absolutely I can do it. But there was also the just real I've not run 26.2 miles at a 640 pace or better.
still not as confident, but still,
Yeah, so like a lot of confidence because all the training and all the speed work and all the PRs of timing, some prediction tools said I might be able to do it.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's a marathon and you should always show up humble to the marathon in that
100%.
second half
Don't be going
where,
overconfident.
yeah, you can't go in too cocky. And I can tend to be a little arrogant. I can say that. So I want to come in
So
humble.
far, so good, brother.
Yeah. So anyway, a little bit of unexpected chaos happened with just sickness. I
Oh,
got strep sick 9 days before the race, but
oh,
thankfully got antibiotics. It took me no time, 2 days to get better. So 1 week before the race, I'm good. But then
that's
our
good.
3-year-old got strep 2 days before the race. So the family did not get to come down to Houston. So they stayed back. But Michael Groves, my like best training partner, he had a hotel. His family was also not coming. So we got to go to sleep in a king
Houston
bed
together.
together, watch NFL playoff there. We went to dinner with Matt Campbell, his coach. I got to
Awesome.
pay him back for the free coaching I freeloaded on. And it was great. So we just had a good kind of celebration and race strategy and just bro talk. It was awesome. So then the morning of, he had never done Houston. So I go see coach Chris Strait in
Yep.
Houston. He was down there and some other runners do the gear drop. And then we get in the corrals. I'm still adding music to my playlist. I realized this from bowling, my bowling days.
Mm.
I realized that if I take something too seriously and don't have fun with it, I don't
Yeah.
perform well.
Mm.
Bowling is very much that. Bowling's a lot of fun. If
Yeah.
I took it too seriously, I tried too hard and I performed poorly. Same thing
Yeah.
with marathoning. So it's like, I gotta have a party in my ears. I've gotta be having fun with it. So I invited a lot of family to call me during the
Oh wow.
marathon. So I took 4 phone calls during the marathon, and then I had a lot of different people texting me. So in my
Huh, that's
marathon
so
this
interesting.
January, I had over 140 texts, and I didn't respond to every single one, but, like, my brother, he had an epic ChatGPT prompted encouragement for me. So that was a lot of fun. I had some people sending scripture to me, and I was flying. I was feeling great the whole time. I basically averaged a 6:36 mile kind of the
Wow.
whole time. One key strategy thing right at the last minute, Michael Groves was looking at my Strava for the Houston I had done the last 2 years. He's like, hey, how long did it estimate the race course was? It was always 26.4,
Yeah,
right? There's always that discrepancy
that's right.
between what does Strava say versus what is a marathon. And so we did the math, and it was about, hey, if you want to hit 255, you're actually going to have to do that for 26.4 miles. And that difference is about 4 seconds per mile. So instead of running at a 640 pace, as
Yeah,
I should have, I just went ahead and decided, okay, I'm going to run at a 636. So
yeah.
that helped. That wasn't
That's smart.
aggressively too fast, but
Yeah.
it absolutely paid off because I was on pace the whole time, headed towards 253, when all of a sudden, a little adversity, I cramp in my left hamstring majorly at mile
Hmm.
24 and a half.
Dang.
And I saw Farrell there. Farrell,
Yep.
he's great. I saw him 3 times on the course that
Yeah.
day, but I cramp right in front of him. And anyway, I it's a full-on cramp. I cannot run, and
Wow.
everything just comes to, no. Am I about to not finish? Is Boston about to be out of touch? So I start stretching, and then I start going again. No, I cannot continue. And so I stretch again, and I start praying. And I start running successfully in great fear that I'm going to not make it, but I do. And I do run for those last 10 minutes fearfully, and I finish in 2:53:52.
Look at that.
So I got my
Most likely,
BQ,
most likely you get the BQ, but
most likely,
most
yeah,
likely
but
we'll
I got
see
a
what happens.
6 minute and
So I
8 second
think you'll
buffer,
be
right?
okay.
You
I
know,
don't
they're
say I'm
penalizing.
100% because I've seen it
No,
late
no,
fives,
anything could happen,
you
but I
know,
feel like with
high
them
fives.
penalizing the downhill races now, I feel better about that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
We'll see.
I
I'll be
think the
interested to
buffer
see, to
should
be
go
honest.
down, not
Yeah,
more. So
I don't know.
I like my 6 minute buffer. I feel good about
No, I
that.
think it's great, and I think that's a pretty good buffer. And look, we don't know anything, but congratulations, man. That was really pretty awesome. You've got so before we go, is there anything that I didn't ask, which I don't feel like I asked that much, that I didn't ask that maybe you would want to add in? Anything that just from a running standpoint?
No, I would just say the people that were texting me in those final
Yeah.
miles, I couldn't use a thumb text, but I could reply, and they were praying for my cramps. They were praying for my finish, and it was great to have so many people celebrating that
Yeah.
finish and see the time and achieve it all. And it feels great to finally have just the relief of, oh, I'm doing it. And
Yeah.
my whole community group, and I bet maybe some families are probably going to come up to Boston 2027.
100%.
So we're looking forward to that. That's really just going to be a fun
Well,
celebration of marathoning.
Boston's amazing and you're going to have a lot of fun, not just running the race, but if you bring your family, I don't know what you're planning. You planning on bringing the whole entire family or is that
Unsure,
yeah.
unsure. We'll
But
see.
anyway, especially if your wife gets to go, you will have an amazing time. She'll have an amazing time, other family and friends, and because it's just a great experience overall. So congrats. It's really awesome. What's next this year? Since Boston's not for another year and a half for you.
I am relieved to say I don't have to think about it. If I hadn't
Yeah.
have qualified or think that I qualified, I know I'd be itching to find something else.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I'm really enjoying, for the first time in almost 15 months, not training hard. So I'm still running, but I'm not
Just
doing
take some time
anything I don't
off.
want to. Yeah, I'm taking a little time off. I'm going back and doing F3, having
Cool.
fun. I'll probably show up back at basketball soon. I'm having fun with it. And I know that I will train again in 2027 for Boston.
Well, Andrew, congratulations. What a great journey. And, you've done really well. And it's taken you, it sounds like a few years, 23, 24.
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years, but it's why they call it a journey. And you've shown that you get better and better, you get smarter and smarter. It takes work to do those things, and you put in the work, the time, the effort, got a coach, all these things that make, you successful. And so I have no doubt that maybe this is just the beginning of kind of your journey. You
Could
just
be.
think about it like maybe there's more potential there. I think there is because you just now started 6 months ago, started running longer and more. So if you want to, if you start doing a little bit more of that, the opportunities there, I think. Man, what a great story. Thanks everyone for tuning in to another DFW Running Talk. Don't forget to go to dfwrunningtalk.substack.com to subscribe to our newsletter. Andrew, thanks so much for coming. Really do appreciate it. Until next time, everybody, take care.